Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off in a cross-legged seated position. Bring your hands to rest on your knees or your thighs. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And take these first few moments to connect with your breath. Feel the movement, the expansion of your ribs with every breath in. And with every exhale, allow yourself to sink a little bit heavier into the ground. Maybe find a little bit of movement in your head or shoulders just to find some release. And then you can keep your eyes closed or open them up and just start to circle through your ribs and your torso, just to find a little more looseness into the spine. And we take a few circles in one direction and then go ahead and switch this and move the other way. Just kind of finding some jelly-like movement in the body. Make sure you're infusing your breath with this movement. And then bring yourself back up to center. And from here, move to a tabletop all fours position, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We'll start off with a bit of balance work. Extend your left leg back long behind you. Extend your right arm in front of you and then lift your arm and your leg at the same time. And then lower your arm and your leg at the same time. And we're just going to do this, just going up and down. Try to keep your hips really stable, especially your left hip. And your left leg doesn't have to be super high. Notice if you're really arching through your spine, try to eliminate any arch by really activating through your core. And now switch this up. Extend your right leg, extend your left arm. And then lift your hand, lift your foot. Hold and hover and then lower. Lots of control here. Feel the reach of your fingertips away from your back foot. Like each time, you could get a little bit longer from fingers to toes. We take this about 5 times total, and then we're gonna progress this exercise. So hold your 5th set for an extra moment, and then bring yourself down to tabletop. Now take your left leg back again, and lift your fingers and your toes. Now pull your elbow towards your knee, extend your arm and your leg, lower the toes, and lift. Do that again, elbow to knee, extend, lower hand, lower foot, and lift. Take that again, elbow to knee, and extend, lower hand, lower foot, and lift. Take this a couple more times, really nice and stable through your bottom left hand. And on your last set, hold the extension of your fingers and toes away from each other for about 5 seconds. Push down into your bottom hand, and then replace your hand and your knee down to the mat, and we'll switch this up. Extend your right leg back long behind you, left arm in front, find the lift. Now pull your elbow to your knee, and then extend your arm and your leg. Lower the toes, lower the fingers, and lift. Take that again, elbow to knee, extend and reach, lower hand, lower foot, and lift. Keep that going. We take this about 5 times total. Find stability through your core. Plug down into your bottom right hand. Lower toes, lower fingers, lift up, pull it together, reach and extend. Have this be your last set, and now hold the reach of your fingers to your back toes for about 5 seconds. Plug down into your right hand. And then lower everything back into a tabletop and take a little bit of time to move around. You can take some circles into your upper spine, into your torso, move in one direction and the other direction. Just let that feel good. You could wiggle out through your jaw or buzz through your lips. And then meet back in a neutral tabletop position. Flip your toes under, lift your knees up off the ground. So we're starting to find a little more core activation. Now lift your right foot up, keep the right knee bent, and then place the right foot down and switch. Lift your left foot up, keep the left knee bent, stabilize through the arms, lower the left toes. And again, right leg up, hold the leg up, hips are square, lower, left leg up, feel your abdominals pulling in, lower. Continue, right leg up, hips are square, push down into your hands, lower, left leg up, push down into your hands, long to the back of your neck. Try to take this 2 more times each side, right, left, just a very slow little march in the feet as you actively stabilize into the shoulders and the core. Last set, float your knees for about 3 seconds. And then lower your knees down to the mat. Come to a kneeling position just to kind of let that go. We're gonna take another set of that floating tabletop, but now we're gonna move through the arms. So bring yourself back to your floating tabletop, flip your toes, lift your knees up off the ground. Now stretch your right hand forward and then lower it down. And now switch. Stretch your left fingertips forward and then lower it down. We take this about 5 times each side. Now what you're probably noticing is a bigger shift through your hips and your legs, and that's okay, but we do want to minimize that as much as possible. So try to keep the rest of your body still. Try to keep your hips as stable as possible. And one way you could do that is by spreading your feet away from each other. That can help out. 5 times total. Emphasize the length of your spine, the length through the back of your neck, the length through the tops of your ears. Knit your ribs in, pull your belly button up towards your spine. Come back to center, float your knees, and now press yourself up to downward facing dog. Take a few moments of breath in this downward facing dog. In this downward facing dog, connect your feet so your toes and your heels are touching. Lift your heels up off the ground, rotate your heels to the left, and then slide your chest forward. Now bend into your knees so you're really over on the left side. Straighten your legs and take this a few more times. Bend your knees so they come back towards your heels and straighten back to this kind of twisted plank. We take this a couple more times here, really exploring the stability of your shoulders and then also the strength of your left oblique. And then switch, so move your hips over to the right. And take this again, bend your knees a lot, send your hips to your heels, and then slide yourself forward into this rotated plank position. Hips back to heels and slide forward, shoulders over wrists. Take this a couple more times, and then move yourself back to a center plank position. Bend your elbows, lower all the way down to the ground. From your belly, push yourself up into a Sphinx pose. So your elbows will come right underneath your shoulders. Now, a couple options here. Your palms can be flat, or you can interlace your fingers if that feels a little more supported. We're gonna come into a bit of core work from here, but just for a moment, find this nice opening through your chest and your torso. Now start off by flipping your toes under. Push into your elbows, round through your upper spine. You can keep your knees on the ground, or you can lift your knees up into a forearm plank, and then lower your knees back down and meet back in the Sphinx pose. And we're gonna continue to move through this. So if this is a little too much, feel free to keep your knees down on the ground to give yourself that additional support. But when you lift your hips up, you really want to feel that sensation of knitting your abdomen in and pulling your belly button back down towards your spine. And even when you come into your back bend or the Sphinx pose, you still want to feel active through the core and pulled up. Take this a few more times at your own pace. Notice that it takes just as much control to lower your hips down as it does to lift them off the ground. Keep this going. We'll take about 4 more sets. So you can really feel your low belly activate, especially in that moment when you first lift your hips off, when you round through your upper spine. Pull your belly button to your spine. Feel your ribs connect in. And try not to allow your head to drop. Think of being nice and long through the back of your neck. And then lower your knees down to the ground and push yourself back into a child's pose. Just an opportunity to stretch out between your shoulder blades. Take a big breath in. Slowly roll yourself upright. We're gonna come all the way down to lie on your back. Once you're on your back, bring yourself to a tabletop position. So your knees stack right over your hips, and then extend your fingertips straight up to the ceiling. Try to imprint your lower spine down into the ground. Just as we did on all fours, start to alternate. So as you extend your right leg, extend your left arm back behind you. Now move really intentionally here. Push your belly button down into your spine this entire time. Keep your foot and your arm hovering over the ground and feel that stretch and length you can create through each side. Actively push your lower spine down into the mat. And continue to alternate side to side. This can be really slow and really controlled movement. Make sure that your knees are not coming too close to your chest. It's easy for the knees to kind of come closer to the chest. Keep them stacked right over your hip, and that's going to maintain activation in the core the entire time. We'll take about 4 more of these. Notice if they get more challenging the more you do. Again, try to keep your lower spine pressing down and extend your leg as straight as you can and let it hover just above the mat. Nice intentional movement. This is great for your shoulder range of motion as well. Last one, pull your knees into your chest and rock and roll yourself up to a boat position. So a few different ways you can support yourself in this boat pose. You can bring your hands behind your thighs. You can bring your hands down to the ground, or you can stretch your arms long in front of you. You can also take the option to extend your legs, but we're gonna roll backwards and forwards a little bit here. Roll on your spine and then try to bring yourself back up to a boat pose. Now you may need to use your hands or your feet, and that's okay, but try as best as you can to find that balance on the top of your butt bones, right up into your boat pose. Find a moment where you can freeze and then move back into it. So this takes a lot of lower belly control. Keep moving through this, move at your own pace. This is a really, really good way to activate through the entire core. Keep your knees pulled into your chest. Again, at any point you can bring your hands behind your thighs, you can move your hands to your side. Take 1 more and then balance in a boat pose for about 5 seconds. And then pull your knees into your chest, bring yourself down to your back. Bring your feet so they're flat, your arms come behind you, and push your hips up into a bridge pose. This bridge pose is more to stretch out the front of your body versus to activate through the glutes. So just allow this to be a nice stretch for the front of your body. Take a big breath in, and take a full breath out. And 1 more nice big breath in. On your exhale, lower your hips down, stretch your legs long and heavy in front of you for a final meditation, an opportunity to release through your core abdominals. We've worked that core a lot, so try to just let that go by breathing into your belly. Nice full belly breaths in and full belly breaths out. Give yourself these last final moments to be with your breath and be with your body. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.